One way to think of an organization is as a big pile of teams, dynamic teams, other teams reporting into teams. A different way to think about an organization is as a collection of systems, processes, technologies, actions designed to come together to achieve some end. In our organizations today, as it comes to the people stuff, you might say that we have three systems. We have something we could call a feedback system, whereby we give people our feedback, we collect the feedback, we tell people how we think they're doing, the aim of which, of course, is to make people fit the mold, to make them fit some prescribed sense of what they should be or how they should fit into our organization. The second sort of system we could call a performance system. We're quite familiar with those. They aim to sort people into categories: the people who are doing well, the people who are doing less well, the people with lots of potential, the people with no potential, so that we can figure out how to invest in them. So that would be a performance system. The third sort of system we have today, you might call a planning system, and whether that's a strategic plan cascading down the organization or a set of goals cascading down the organization, some sort of system to say, here's what you should be doing to define and direct action at scale. If you think through everything that we've talked about in these videos, and indeed everything that Marcus and I have written about in 9 Lies, in a way, we're arguing for 3 different systems better suited for the world that we live in today, and in fact better suited for who we have each been since time immemorial as human beings. Instead of feedback systems, we should have attention systems. Systems which don't attempt to judge any human being or fit them into a particular prescribed set of competencies or abilities or behaviors, but instead prompt each of us to give attention to those around us, and particularly attention to what they do best, that should enable us to share a simple reaction which is ours, rather than a judgment which attempts to understand and define them, because we know that attention creates great work, attention creates great careers, attention creates collaboration. Attention systems, therefore, would be a very good thing for us to have in our organization. Instead of performance systems obsessed with putting people into categories and spending a huge amount of time, by the way, thinking about, is this person in this category or this one? We should, of course, have investment systems. We should dispense with the categorization and instead jump to the end of that story. And the end of that story is, how might we invest in each and every person in our organizations? How might we figure out what they need, what they want, what they aspire to be? What is special about them, and how can we magnify that? An investment system, not a performance system. And lastly, instead of our planning systems and our goal systems, we should build intelligence systems. We should build systems that share information from the front lines in as near to real time as we can manage with the people on the front lines, so that they can have a fuller understanding of what it is that they face every day, what's going on with their customers, what's going on in the market, what's going on internally with the other teams, so that they have a rich source of real-time information to empower the decisions that they can make better than somebody 5 miles behind the front lines, if you like. If you take these systems together, what you see is that they're designed from the team out rather than for the organization down. They start with each individual located in each team. They empower the team leader and the team member together to figure out what works for them, and then scale that out to the organization. So rather than going organization to team to individual, they go individual to team leader to organization as a whole. And what that means is that we must invert our conversations. We must ask not what the organization should do or needs to do for each team member, but what each team member wants the organization to do for him or her. What attention does that team member want? What investment does that team member want in them, in their career? And what intelligence does that team member need in order to do their job the best way they possibly can? And when we do this, we see that the thing that we want in our organizations, if they are to thrive and prosper, is actually a series of emergent properties. Not things, again, imposed from on high down to each individual, but things to support each individual in their work every day, support them knowing their strengths, knowing what they do frequently, where they want to go, knowing what matters to them most, knowing their aspirations, to harness those so that when we give them attention, patterns of performance are emergent. When we invest in them, career progression is emergent. When we harness intelligence and deliver it to them, patterns of movement in our teams, patterns of decision-making, patterns of action are emergent. Emergent from each team, emergent from each team member, not coerced from on high. So rather than going organization to team to individual, they go individual to team leader to organization as a whole. And what that means is that we must invert our conversations. So 3 new systems for the world of work. We haven't got there yet. We've made some progress. I think there's a long way to go. But at Cisco, that's where we're going next. He just rolls and then he embarrasses me with all the shit in between. Don't put that in a thing.